Sha'Carri Richardson just proved that math and physics don't stand a chance against raw, generational speed, racing on a bumpy grass track in rural Australia, giving her opponents a massive head start. This 144-year-old handicap system was rigged for her to lose, but she broke it. To understand why a world-class Olympic champion would risk it all on this obscure hillside, we have to look back at Dallas. Born in Dallas, Texas, in March 2000, Sha'Carri Richardson grew up in a neighborhood where speed was everything. Raised by her grandmother, Betty Harp, Richardson found strength while her biological mother battled addiction. The track became her sanctuary, a place where her wild energy finally a clear purpose. At Carter High in Dallas, she didn't just compete. She absolutely owned every sprint event she touched. Scouts watched her blur past everyone on Texas tracks, knowing they were witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime talent. When she arrived at LSU in 2018, she carried the heavy hopes of a legendary sprinting program. The purple and gold LSU colors perfectly matched Richardson's electric personality. Her swagger on the track matched her flair off it. Vibrant nail art and colorful haircut. Every camera flash in the stadium. But there was real substance beneath the style. In 2019, she clocked 10.75 seconds in Austin, a collegiate record. That run put her in the Olympic spotlight, but it also loaded pressure onto a young woman still finding herself. The road to Tokyo was rough. Her explosive talent came with a big personality that did always sit right with the old guard of track culture. She spoke out when others stayed quiet and celebrated with a fire that traditionalists couldn't handle. The track and field establishment had no idea what to do with a star who refused to be contained. At the Olympic trials in Oregon, Richardson reminded the world that speed doesn't care about your opinion. She blasted down lane 6 in 10.86 seconds, securing her ticket to Tokyo and electrifying the entire crowd. It was classic Sha'Carri. Arms raised, orange hair flowing, just soaking in the roar of the fans. Then, the headlines hit, and everything fell apart. A positive marijuana test right after her trials victory led to a 1-month suspension, forcing her out of the Tokyo Olympics entirely. The dreams she'd chased since running barefoot on Dallas playgrounds were gone in an instant. She later revealed she used cannabis to cope with the sudden death of her biological mother just before the trials. The weight of grief and public judgment was crushing for a 21-year-old living under a microscope. While the world debated her life, Richardson was fighting a much harder battle behind closed doors. It wasn't about other sprinters anymore. It was about beating doubt, depression, and the whispers that she was finished. Her comeback trail started with quiet training sessions in Dallas, where she rebuilt both her speed and her mental focus. She worked with psychologists, changed her training, and stayed focused. Slowly, she began silencing the critics who had already written her off completely. After missing the 2022 World Team, she turned that setback into pure fuel. By 2023 in Budapest, she finally claimed her undeniable place among the sport's elite. She took gold in the 100 meters from lane 9, smashing the championship record in 10.65 seconds. It was total redemption in one blazing sprint. The Paris 2024 Olympics completed her incredible journey. Richardson secured a hard-fought silver in the 100, then heroically entered the USA4 by 100 relay team to gold, standing proud as the flag rose over Paris. The tears on her face told the whole story, a journey from rock bottom back to the top of the world. But even with the medals, something was still missing. Richardson needed one more test. She mastered the track, but she wanted a different challenge. That's what brought her to Australia in April 2026. She headed to a tiny town most Americans couldn't find on a map for a race unlike anything else. The Stawell Gift isn't just a track meet. It's a 144-year-old tradition that turns the Australian countryside into a sprinting mecca. It's a 120-meter grass sprint, but there's a massive twist. It's a handicap race that levels the playing field. The fastest runners start from scratch with no head start, while the slower ones get a massive lead. Some competitors even start 25 meters ahead of the line. It turned a straightforward sprint into a high-stakes tactical chess match played at a world record pace. For Richardson, choosing to compete from the scratch mark was like fighting with one hand tied behind her back. She would have to overcome more than just the handicap system, but the grass surface that makes every stride unpredictable compared to the synthetic tracks. She's dominated her whole career. The town of Stawell totally transforms during Gift weekend. The population jumps from 2,000 to over 20,000 as sprint fans and gamblers swarm Central Park. Local pubs overflow with legends of past champions, while bookmakers calculate odds based on wind, moisture, and track conditions, plus the mental pressure of running on Australia's as most famous grass. Richardson's arrival sent a massive buzz through the small Victorian community. Here stood an Olympic gold medalist and a world champion, ranked as the 5th fastest woman ever, agreeing to test herself against the unique demands of handicap racing. The heats revealed just how tough her task would be. Richardson watched as rivals with huge head starts blazed down the grass track, some clocking times that would be impossible on a standard track, all thanks to those massive handicap advantages. The math was brutal. She had to run faster than ever on grass while chasing down opponents who seemed to have physics on their side. In the final, Richardson stood in lane 4 at the scratch mark, staring down a field that included Charlotte Nielsen, a teen Aussie sprinter starting 9 meters ahead. The crowd gathered around the grass track fell silent as the starter raised his pistol. The race lasted barely 13 seconds, but it was an absolute masterclass in tactical sprinting. Richardson's start was controlled, not the explosive blast that usually carries her to world titles. She clearly understood that on grass, patience can be way more valuable than pure aggression. At the 50-meter mark, Nielsen's lead looked impossible to catch. Then Richardson shifted gears. Her stride opened up, and the gap started shrinking fast. With 20 meters left, 2 generations were running stride for stride. In those final 10 meters, Richardson's championship pedigree took over. She edged out Nielsen by inches in a photo finish, crossing in an adjusted 13.15 seconds. She won the Stawell Gift from scratch, beating the very math designed to level the playing field. Talking to Australian TV, Richardson said that this race helped her remember why she fell in love with sprinting. Without the global pressure, it felt like playing tag in Dallas, speed as pure fun. The handicap system gives everyone a chance, but Richardson turned math into poetry and physics into art. To show just how difficult this was, her partner, world-class sprinter Christian Coleman, didn't even make the men's final from his own scratch mark. As news spread past the Victorian countryside, people saw this wasn't just another win. It was the ultimate proof of a talent that survived controversy and came back stronger than ever. Sometimes the biggest wins happen when nobody expects them, against odds designed to make you fail. Sha'Carri Richardson's Stawell Gift win proved that champions don't just run fast. They run fast enough to rewrite the math of what everyone else thinks is possible.